Just 2 games to go in the regular season, and the Rapid City Rush are finishing off year 18 against the Tahoe Night Monsters here at home. Dave Smith, Rush head coach and GM, alongside. Wasn't prepared to ask this question 36 hours ago, but Arseny Sergiev, who began the year here in Rapid City, was starting games for us as late as December, played and won his first NHL start against the Los Angeles Kings last night. He was also named first star of the game, and a tremendous accomplishment for him. Dave, did you in your mind at all think that we'd see somebody who started with us the first 2 months make and win a National Hockey League start?
You know, I didn't know. I think that's the hope, and that's the plan that you have for each of these guys, that each of us, you know, plays a little part in helping them get ready for their next challenge. And I did watch most of the game last night. It was exciting to see and really happy for Sergey.
How did he develop in his 2-3 months here that obviously propelled him from a 1A, 1B tandem with us and Connor Murphy to the #1 goaltender with the Wranglers and now a winner with the Flames?
Well, there's a lot of, there's a lot of hands in the mix there, and I think it's got to start with, you go way back to, Jordan Sigalet and Mackenzie Skapski identifying talent, Arseny having the talent, and then putting him in a position where he can succeed, but he can also learn from a guy like Connor Murphy, right? And he goes up and he receives coaching, he has opportunity, he just continues to grow his game. So I think there's a lot of people that can stake a small claim to helping him develop along the way this year and before, even go back to include what he did at Penn State.
How is it that someone can look so comfortable in net as he did last night against a playoff team, the LA Kings, and a lot of National Hockey League talent going up against him?
Yeah, I think it's a great lesson, a great question, a great lesson to learn there. I mean, he doesn't take any moments off. He has a lot of purpose. He's listened to his goalie coaches, and every time he steps on the ice in practice, he's competing. He's trying to make every save, and so he gets into a situation where it's the largest stage in the world, the National Hockey League, against a team that's in the playoffs, and it's nothing new. The compete was nothing new for him.
I feel like this just shows the development of goaltenders is different than any other position, because you so often see a goaltender from our league make it to the National Hockey League. Maybe not in one season like he did, but there are so many good goaltenders out there and so few spots for them. Yeah,
there really is, and you see it start of the year to the end of the year. There's the depth at that position makes it really challenging to find a spot, and when you have a team and an organization that believes in you and you get those opportunities, you got to make the most of them, and Arseny did.
All right, so back on our side of things, a big win against the Utah Grizzlies back on Sunday, and 3 points out of a possible 4 in your last 2 games. It certainly seemed to me like things progressed better and better over the weekend series. Disappointing Friday night. You mentioned on Saturday your challenge in the pregame video. They come out, do everything but get 2 points in an overtime loss. On Sunday, they fend off a really good challenge of a 3-goal comeback and win the overtime game that time around. What'd you see in your team's progression from Game 1 to Game 3?
Well, I thought they responded really well to a push from the first game, and we played way more patient than we had in some recent losses. We allowed the game to happen, and I think then our skill level capitalized it again, winning the Saturday game 2-1, or losing the Saturday game 2-1 in overtime. I'm really proud of that effort because defensively we were really good. In the last half of that game, we did everything except win it. And then to carry that over, play the first 2 periods really strong, and then to have to hold off a franchise push and a crowd push, over 7,000 people, the last period for the Grizzlies in Utah. We knew a push was coming, and it did. And then to have Hannes come back from, really from the locker room and getting stitched up to score the game winner, I thought was a terrific win and a great way to end the weekend.
How'd you guys do it on Sunday? It was an avalanche that you could feel from the point it was 4-2. They do tie the game with the 6-on-5 situation. You accomplished the goal of getting to overtime and making the game 3-on-3. How'd you guys capitalize following that break and control the play in overtime? And, of course, Hannes scores the game winner.
Yeah, I mean, that's on the players. I mean, the players, you go in with a strategy, but they still have to execute and play. And, on that play in particular, Chiser went and got a puck, and we were coming back hard, and that immediately means transition. which then, a good play by Ole and a good finish by Clay. So all three guys were involved, and it was nice to just keep it in the offensive zone.
I feel like that shows, and maybe just the youthful energy of a guy like Clay Hannes. It's a meaningless game in the standings. 3 games to go in the season. You're getting stitched up. You want to come back and produce once again. That's what he did. Just how much motivation does Clay Hannes have with everything to prove in his rookie season?
Well, I think you see that whether it's in Clay Hannes or any individual, it's what's inside them. And when, whether the lights are on bright or the lights aren't, we just talked about it with Sergeyev, right? They compete, and that's what makes them really good. And for Clay, there was still time on the clock. He came back in overtime, and that's what's inside of him, and that's what really good players do. They have a passion to compete and a passion to play, and I think that's what we saw.
Somebody on the LA Kings was asked before yesterday's game in Calgary, what do you expect with such a youthful roster like the Flames sought? And the answer was just energy all across the board from guys who want to prove themselves. How much has that been evident from your rookies and especially your college guys these last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, and it looks like energy, but to me it starts with passion. It's if they have passion, the energy comes out. If you have compete with passion, high energy comes out, and that's what we're talking about with these guys. And they have skill and they have the ability, but without passion and energy, you just can't accomplish great things.
I know we're honoring this tomorrow before the game, but with Garrett Klotz in the lineup tonight, this will be game number 700 for him. You've only coached him for a season, but you played with a lot of guys like him back in the 90s. What does he bring that has been lost in the game? And like I said, a ton of players on each team in the 90s that you played with.
Well, he's a professional, and it starts with how he takes care of his body. The man, at his age, to have the strength and the physique that he does, he tell you that he takes care of his body better than anybody in that locker room, and maybe better than anybody else to be able to do what he's doing, which requires physical effort. But he's also got the brain. The theme of this seems to be passion of this conversation, and Klotzy brings a tremendous passion to just the little details of a game that make a player better and make him an important part of a team and an organization.
So few players get to, 1, play 700 games, and 2, play 18 years, especially in a demanding role like him. How impressive is that?
Well, it's really impressive, and he's been in Rapid here a long time, but a lot of those games are hard games, right? They're different than other guys that have played 700 games. He's physically and mentally, that's a long road that he's mastered and done it really well.
All right, 2 games to go here. Tahoe at home and the rescheduled games from the Christmas time strike. You mentioned in our keys to the game, play the game properly. What do you mean by that?
Well, let's not get loose. Let's not forget that this is their job. This is their livelihood. There's an organization and a city that wants to feel proud about the way the Rapid City represent them, and I want the guys to represent themselves very well. So it's just not getting outside the team first mentality.
All right, last thing, Nathan Torchio will start tonight. 2 really good appearances in Utah to get off the schneid for him. How impressive was that to see from a guy who, like we've talked about, has missed multiple months at a time twice this season? Yeah,
it's been a really challenging year for timing and the things that go into a season, but really thought he hit his stride on the second game there in Utah and followed up with another good game, and he's played well against these guys in the past, so he gets the call.
Good luck. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.